Hi, I'm Ginny Robertson, founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of On Purpose Woman Global Community. I'm here with Cheri Martin for a Writer in the Spotlight interview where I chat with the contributing writers for the current issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. Hey, Cheri, welcome. Thanks for being with me today.
Oh, well, thank you, Ginny, for inviting me and for giving me the pleasure of sharing an article in your magazine.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
And so let's just start by you telling our viewers a bit about you.
How about me? Oh, gosh. I've been involved in online marketing for actually, it has been over 25 years. My husband and I started working together in February of 1998. So I guess it's over 25 years. We actually started our first company in August of 1998. And over the years, I just evolved into more of the social media because of my natural, networking. In fact, when we were starting our business, I was involved in BNI, which was, I was one of the directors of networking. But over the years, I've just really realized that what I enjoy the most and what I'm doing today, which just brings me so much pleasure, is focusing on LinkedIn and coaching my students through how to use LinkedIn to not only grow their business, but first of all, as I say in my article, make a friend so that you can grow your business, build those relationships. And I work one-on-one. I also do some corporate training, and I have a membership group, which you're a member of, the LinkedIn Mastery. And I just get a lot of joy teaching. I've always wanted to be a teacher. Even when I was younger, I used to, as soon as school's out, I started teaching everybody in the neighborhood for the summer. And so teaching just comes natural for me. And so what I like to say is that I simplify social media for my students so that they kind of eliminate that overwhelm, because it's so easy today to be overwhelmed with everything coming at us. Those of us that have been are in business for a while and been on social media for at least 10 years, we've seen how it has consistently evolved, but yet it's gotten so cluttered and we don't know what to do because what worked yesterday is not working today. And so we have to stay on top of that. And that's what I really help my clients do, is to stay on top of what is going to work best for them. For a number of years, I did Facebook marketing, did a lot of Facebook management, but as of the pandemic, things changed. I actually had stopped working with my managed clients after some of them had been with me for a number of years, so that I could really dive into LinkedIn more, because that's what was coming. And so many of my clients would tell me more about LinkedIn. Is it really a site that we should be working on? So I jumped into it, and what better time than during the pandemic, because everybody had to cease their networking. And so when I started teaching LinkedIn, I realized this was our virtual chamber of commerce. And it was a place for us to really be and to connect and to grow our business and to provide value to others. So that's pretty much about me. What I do is I'm all about the relationship marketing with social media, simplifying that journey for my clients so that they do have some enjoyment with it, because it's sometimes tough to enjoy social media.
It can be.
You have to do it, right?
And to be disciplined enough not to let every shiny object get your attention away from what you were really intending to do, right? Well, let me just say this to our viewers, that you are excellent at what you do. As you mentioned, I'm a member of your program. And if anybody's looking for someone to kind of demystify LinkedIn for you and to give you some great steps so you don't get overwhelmed and think you have to do it all at one time, reach out to Cheri. Her email is in the text of this video. We're talking specifically today, while we're not really talking specifically about social media, though it will come up, we are talking about your article, which is called Make a Friend, Grow your Business, and the Power of Relationship Marketing. And in your opening sentence, you talked about a pet peeve of yours. So tell us about that pet peeve, and did that inspire you to write this article?
Oh my goodness. Yes and yes. As I said, when I first started our business, Richard and I together, we were just friends, and we're not a married couple at that time. And we both had jobs. Well, I was always great at telemarketing, and I took on a lot of different telemarketing jobs. And what I realized and what made me successful in that business was that I would get in trouble. I didn't always follow the script because that's what they wanted you to do. I would just start conversations with those individuals I was talking with. And through that, I started developing relationships with people on the phone that did not know me. The next minute I knew I was getting their credit card number. They were buying the product I was selling, or they were going to come visit the timeshare that I was bringing to, going to have them come visit, or they were signing up to have family pictures at the Olin Mills or whatever job I had. And I enjoyed it. I made it fun. And so as we started growing our business and of course, joining different associations, I remember my first visit to a chamber of commerce. And I hid behind my husband as we walked in, or, because I was afraid. I didn't know, who am I to think I'm a business person? I just work at this telemarketing company, right? And I walked in behind him and I was not sure how to approach people. But the next thing I realized is all I had to do was just start asking them questions about themselves. I had to show that I was interested in them, and then they became interested in me. And maybe not at the moment, but that's exactly why this article came and jumped out at me. One of my clients one day said, "Cheri, you are the queen of making a friend and growing your business."
Oh,
And at that moment, I purchased the domain. I've had that domain since 2006.
I didn't know that.
And I've never used it. I've just, there's a book there somewhere. But that's what really, I guess, brought me to write this article, is to help individuals understand that we need to not focus so much on selling ourselves and our services, but letting people know who we are authentically, be unique, be yourself, or like Dr. Seuss says, be you, no one's youer than you. And the more you do that, and no matter what type of job you have, you will start seeing that success because people start building confidence in you. They start trusting you. Now you have to be authentic in that. I mean, when I was telemarketing, I was, if I felt that person was not the right person to purchase something, I was not going to take their money. And I was very respectful of that. If I started listening, and I think that's what it's important too, is to listen. But yeah, so all of that in a nutshell, and I was a director at BNI, Business Network International. That kind of fell into my lap through all of this as well, the early 2000, about 2001. And I realized, again, when I was out there networking and teaching networking classes, the best way I could teach them was to share with them how to start being, themselves, again, authentic, and to just focus on the other person and ask better questions so that they get better answers.
Yeah. You bring to mind something that I remember hearing from women years ago when I used to, well, I still do, but not as much now because it's a lot more out there. But, when I started On Purpose, was On Purpose networking for women in the original days. And I knew that I didn't want it to be a place where people just walked around and shoved business cards in each other's faces and didn't have a conversation. So I really, in fact, Catherine Yarbury, sometimes mentions how you trained us well. I said, don't,
Yes.
Have your cards, but don't go around and giving them out to just anybody, because they'll go home and they'll probably throw them away because they won't have any idea who you are. And then be curious, ask questions, find out about the other person. But sometimes somebody would say, well, what if I spend all this time asking about them and they don't want to know about me? And my answer is, when they're not your people, right? Do you agree with that perspective?
I do agree with that. And I also have learned that when you show people that you are interested in them, and even if they do not come back and ask any questions about you, if you start showing up in their space, and that's what's great about social media, they see you and they will remember, and chances are they may share with somebody, I met Cheri, and she didn't even try to sell me her services, but she sure was interested in me. And what I realized is that in itself is rememberable. And you probably heard me say in the past, you want to be known before you're needed. And it does take time. And that is probably the one thing I find most of us we don't want to wait. We want it now.
Yeah.
But when you really take the time and allow things to just kind of gel in the background, and yes, you're going to have, and during that time, you're going to also have some people that are constantly contacting you. But the more you show up and the more interested you act with others, you will have referrals coming to you more consistently than if you just keep trying to sell everybody. Then they start repelling against you. And that's one of the things that I realize is the best way to show up on social media, is to practice that. Again, it's called the art of unselling and just being there. And I know myself, I make it a practice. If I'm scrolling through a feed and I see somebody ask for, who do you know? I'm constantly tagging people that I know in that stream of conversation so that they'll be notified that, there's somebody looking for their services. And I even may reach right out to them and say, hey, I know that you did a great job for me. I really want to refer you to this person I know, and they're looking for someone. Do you have, are you open for a new client or something along that line? And that, again, just people take notice of that. And then they start referring business to you. But yes, I do notice that myself, when you are taking the initiative in learning about others, even if they aren't taking the time to learn about you, it does come back around to assist you.
That's a great point. And it's also so much easier to do it that way and so much more fun, isn't it? There's no agenda. There's no, gotta get an appointment, gotta get a client, gotta get. And, that energy, even if you never say a word, that energy, people feel it.
They do.
Yeah.
And with myself right now, I'm making a big transition on not only my business, but my move, my location. And I'm kind of in between. I told my husband the other day, we're actually homeless right now. Sold our home in Florida, and now we're looking for a home in Tennessee. And up here, there's a number of individuals I have never met personally, but we have connected and built relationships on social media. And I'm getting messages. I can't wait to meet you. Let us know when you're available. We're going to get a group of people together. And that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
That is exciting.
And that's we have a group now, an On Purpose group in Tallahassee, and I'm planning to go down there in October. And I know that these women I have never met, I'm staying at one of their houses. They're going to feel like old friends when I show up.
Yes.
Because of how we've connected online in such a deeply authentic way. So yes, it really does work. And it takes some time. It's not something you can rush, like you say, but it also takes consistency. It
does. That showing up, and sometimes, trust me, I think I have a signature talk that I've done about, showing up, taking social, and the acronym of social, and the importance of showing up. And there are days we just don't feel like it. Trust me, this last month, making this move, there are days like, do I have to get online? I just, where's my makeup? I have no clue where it is. I didn't even put it on. But I do realize, like, just even this morning, getting up and just knowing we were going to have a conversation this morning. And I had a conversation with another individual on a podcast yesterday morning before to start my day. It really brings me a lot of joy. We have never met in person, but we've worked together. And I'm a member of your organization. And the girl that I had a conversation with yesterday, Coffee with Regina, we met in a networking event of a mutual friend of ours. And that's what really, to me, is that power of the relationship marketing. You meet and you click, and then you have a conversation offline. If you live in the same area, meet in person. If not, then you jump on Zoom. And it's amazing to me. And so when it goes back to kind of the question you had with my telemarketing, it was that same thing. That was all done on the phone. It was never done in person. And so I realized that through the way we've evolved in business today, after going through the pandemic and everything just kind of ceased, we had to find that new way to connect. Some of us have been using Zoom and, of course, on social media, but it was a learning curve for a number of us. And I realized that with telemarketing, after being in retail sales, when I started doing the telemarketing, I'm like, this is never going to work. How's anybody want to buy from me? They don't know me. And I thought, I learned really fast. You just have a conversation with them and find out information about them and help them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Well, when we practice relationship marketing rather than the approach that's your pet peeve, which is, just showing up and I guess handing out business cards, trying to get a sale the first time out, or, you have somebody asked you to connect with them on LinkedIn, and, I say yes. And the next thing I know, I'm getting an email that says, here's what I do, come to this, do that, how does relationship marketing, how are the results different, do you think? I mean, you touched on that a little bit. You want to go a little bit deeper about what that looks like?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I find that Facebook and LinkedIn are the two best go-to sites for networking. And I'm never telling everybody don't do Facebook. I did Facebook for a lot of years and I still use it, but LinkedIn is my go-to site for that, for the really true deepen relationship and networking, because most people are coming over there now. But yesterday I actually had a question about this on the podcast that I was on as well. And they said, we get these messages from people constantly on LinkedIn, and we don't know them. They don't know us. They have no clue about us, but they're trying to sell us something. Mm-hmm. Do we need to be responding to this? And I think we had a little bit of the conversation on our LinkedIn Mastery session about this as well yesterday. And my thinking is you don't have to take the time to do it. If you want to see if you can twist it around, fine. But the thing is, when you are reaching out to individuals on LinkedIn, you really want, again, make it about them. Go to their profile, see what type of activity that they have on their profile. In other words, what are they posting? What type of content are they sharing? Do you see some common connections with them? As you read through their bio, does something in their about area, does something jump out at you? And then if you're the one that actually extends the request to connect, make sure you bring something out about what you noticed on their profile to, mm-hmm. again, showing them you're interested in them, commenting on maybe one of their content pieces that they posted that you found that was a fascinating article, or, what kind of similar to what you're asking me about this article, what kind of got me to write this, whatever, how did I come to the conclusion of writing this and on the power of relationship marketing, but bring the attention again to them. And then let them know that, you notice you had a few friends in common and that you'd love to just connect and have, and possibly do some networking together. That's how I approach it. Now, when someone is sending that request to you and you make that decision to connect with them, I do the same thing. I respond to them. I never just connect. I always start the conversation, because when you can get that conversation flowing, chances are you'll have more conversations. Mm-hmm. If you scare them right away and say, let's do a one-on-one, then they get kind of standoffish. They're thinking, oh, she's going to try to sell me something. And I get the same feeling when people do that to me. And that, again, has helped me. I know I've booked a couple speaking engagements from people that have reached out, that just one person just came right out. She goes, I have an event coming up in Orlando and I am looking for a LinkedIn speaker. I'd love to have a conversation with you. There, boom, right away, we were on the phone. That was kind of before Zoom. Yeah, we were on the phone talking. And then I went over to Orlando and met her. We didn't solidify anything until we got to know each other a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then I was one of her keynote speakers on one of her at one of her conferences there. And so it's easy, but you have to show etiquette. There's that LinkedIn etiquette, which is the same that we need to be following in person and when we're doing Zoom networking. Don't scare them. Just let them know you're interested in them and you want to know more. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. Look at you and Catherine, how you have become such good friends over the years and all that you've done together. It was a natural progression mm-hmm. from networking.
Right.
And that feels good. Mm-hmm. And one thing I will comment on, when we were talking about, my pet peeve of just people bombarding you with things, like I said, there's so many phone calls that come through on your phone. They're all sales calls. They are. And you just get so tired of those. I'm thinking, why can't they stop these things? But the same thing when you're on LinkedIn and you have people just kind of bombarding you with messages that they want to connect with you. They know that they can be the coach for you. They know that they can do this. They know they can do that. To me, that is the virtual card bombing.
Mm.
And stop it.
It's so 2000, isn't
stop
it?
It is. Just stop it. Because
Yeah.
that, what I like in LinkedIn is the virtual, chamber of commerce. To me, when that spam comes, that's virtual card bombing. And we don't like that when we're in person. So stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I ever say.
When I was on my LinkedIn account yesterday, getting ready for your class, I wanted to do that assessment to see how my LinkedIn profile was holding up. I'd also gotten, and the day before, I think I'd gotten a request to connect, and I was looking at the woman's page before I said yes. And I was like, wow, I think this topic that she talks about or wrote a book about would be great for an article and I just felt this connection to her photo. There was something about her that I felt super connected to. So I made a note and we'll be reaching out to her later this week. But it's that kind of thing. If you go in and it's, it may only happen every once in a while that you have that kind of thing that you want to act on right away. But then the other ones, and don't say yes to everybody. I think that's what we were saying yesterday. I said yes to everybody on Facebook initially. And I finally went through at one point and I had all these guys on there I didn't know. And men are not my client base. So I went through and just deleted all the men I didn't know and looked at some of the other people. And I've done the same thing with LinkedIn. I've been more picky in the last year or two after meeting you about, not everybody gets in. I don't say yes to any man I don't know because they're not my client base.
Well, and that's so true. It's understanding who you want to attract.
Right.
That's who you really want to be connecting with, because they may not be that ideal client, but they may have an amazing, expansive database of people that they know that they can refer to you, but you have to build that relationship with them. And that's why you don't want to sell to your network. You want to sell through your network. And that you can only do that if you develop relationships.
I love that. Don't sell to your network, sell through your network. Quoted by Cheri Martin. So Cheri, how can our viewers find out more about your work?
Well, they can always, I always say, first place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I'm normally pretty active on there. I will admit these last few weeks I have not been because of the move, but I am getting back into the swing of things now. So LinkedIn, and I'm at linkedin.com/Cheri Martin. And that's with the C. You can see it here on my screen, CHERI Martin. I also have a website, which is socialvisionary.com. And of course, I'll get these links here on the replay that when you post this today. And then
they're already in there.
Pardon?
They're already in there.
They're already in there. All right. Awesome. So they're right there for you. But I do have, every year I celebrate Social Media Day, and that is on June 30th of every year. And I offer a free webinar. And so I have a free webinar coming up. And that free webinar is a kind of an extension of what we are just having a conversation about right now. It is a free lunch and learn. And it's about mastering social networking, effective strategies for developing online relationships. And that is on Friday, June 30th, from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then I will share the link. It's a bit.ly link, so I can just give it real quick. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/social media day 2023. And I'll make sure that definitely gets in there if you didn't get that written down. And I invite you to just you have to register so that you can get the link, because it is on Zoom, and we'll have conversations about different types of relationships you can really develop through your social networking, not just LinkedIn, but across the platforms, because people do it on Twitter, people do it on Pinterest, people do it on definitely Facebook. But there's a premise, there's a kind of just an easy way to do it. You'll have to discover some of the tools that you can measure to analyze your social media success, as well as tips and engagement to really build your community, because community is key for social media to really be effective for you.
Thank you, Cheri. And Cheri will also be talking about this topic in more details at our Connections Over Coffee gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community this coming Monday, June 19th from 10:30 a.m. to noon Eastern Time, again on Zoom. If you're on our email list, you'll get that notification. If you're not, there's a link in the text of this video that you can go sign up for our email list. It's also one of those bit.ly links. And thank you, Cheri, for sharing your wisdom in the magazine and here with us today. And is there a final thought you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, well, I think my final thought is I kind of mentioned it as well. By being consistent, you will be known before you're needed. And that's what we have to always focus on. Is it does take time to, solidify relationships with people that you want to do business with. Either you do business with them or they do business with you. But being consistently and showing up, you will be known before you're needed. And that's how you make a friend and grow your business.
I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you to anyone watching this. Yeah. Thank you to anyone watching this live or the replay on our YouTube channel. Again, to read Cheri's article, as well as other inspiration for your mind, body, spirit, and business, visit our website, opwgc.com. And the website link to the magazine is also in the text of this video. Thanks for watching, everyone.